Well, after a couple of days and making sure that Oscar was going to be okay, that indeed he had just shocked himself more than anything else and me, and with grapes and almonds, we were becoming friends again. About 5 days into my house sitting in this beautiful spot on the hill, I got a call from my girlfriend in Cody. She's the one who introduced me to Bob, and we just chatted about normal, typical things. Her daughter, who was in college, first year, and all those trials and tribulations there, and her family, which she called dysfunctional, and had to go on about all the different things that were going on there, and, you know, just news of the town and that sort of thing. And then there was a silence, and she said, "I need to tell you something." And so I just sat and waited for a minute, and I could feel this little ominous thing, but she said, "Bob got married." With that, we kind of concluded we were at the end of things anyway. And once I hung up, then I just sort of wandered around for a little bit. I didn't really know how to take that news in, but it was hitting me little by little that all of a sudden this is another, it felt like a betrayal. It wasn't. How can it be a betrayal after only a month, 5 weeks? And he, you know, what did he owe me? We didn't hardly know each other. But I remember, you know, my feelings were so, it's like an imprint. It's like somebody putting a plaque on the wall. You were in love. You guys are connected by unseen forces that you can't even describe because you don't know enough about them yet. And you love, that's, you know, I mean, you love this man. He's becoming such a wonderful person and influence, and he's just kind to everyone and just so full of life. But there hadn't been enough time really to establish a relationship. I went in, those are the things that are running through my mind, and I lay down on the bed for a little bit, just trying to pull myself together and say, these are not reasonable thoughts. You're having feelings here that just don't add up, you know, to such a, it's like an instantaneous thing that happened. And I'm remembering the time when I went to meet him at the airport when he was coming back from a trip to Denver, and he waved me off. The woman ahead of me, he embraced him and he embraced her, and I realized he's got somebody else in his life. And I beat feet. The bathroom was off to the left behind me, and I went in there and hid out until I thought they had safely passed. Then I cautiously went to my car and went home, and in that time, I am reliving that. I'm thinking to myself, you know, he is a sought-after bachelor. They're hard to come by. You know, somebody solid, wise, steady. He's not easily excitable. He's you know, done so many different things and has so many different talents. And of course he has somebody. He probably has multiple somebody. I mean, you're realizing that, you know, whatever you were feeling was really not reasonable. And so by the time, but I'm not calming down. By the time more time goes by, I go outside and it's already dark. The stars are we're way away from lights, and the sky is just lit up with stars. And I'm beginning to feel like I'm going to fall apart. And so I begin climbing. I mean, it's just a steep incline. There's no trails. And I just start climbing up the mountain that we're on. And it's everything inside of me is churning like the cauldron is bubbling. All of those feelings of betrayal. You're not lovable. You're not worthwhile. You're stupid. You know, you're not skilled. You can't do this or that. And all these things that I had been stuffing down, and now I was stuffing down, you know, that this man loved me, and that the possibility of all the different things that we had gone through that we can't even describe. He's not even probably really aware of them. And we never really talked a lot. We didn't even hardly talk about that stuff at all. It was just an experience that my experience was obviously more profound than his, but it's trying to stuff itself into the burial grounds, and there's no room left down there. So, you know, it's bubbling up. I can feel something is coming up, and it's not going to be pretty. And I get about halfway up the mountain, and I can feel it. It's a bubbling cauldron of something that I can't even describe. There's no way for me to tell you, because it's not human. It's not part of me. It's part of something else. And all of a sudden, I collapse onto my knees. I'm kneeling, and open my mouth and lean back, and it's like black tar is coming out. I can just see it. I can feel it. It's all of these things that have been, you know, gelling down in there, creating tar. And this happens 3 times, and it is so violent. And the sound is so unworldly. It isn't of this world. And the only thing that I could think of was the banshees. Must have been like a banshee call, and I just had to allow this I couldn't stop it. I had to allow this to come out of me, or and I felt like I was disintegrating, but once it came out, I literally collapsed on the ground there and just lay looking up at the stars and wondering, you know, why would I go through that experience? What has that got to do with anything? And why would I have to experience more feelings that I'm wanting to bury? And the universe isn't going to let me do that. I come down off the mountain, but as I'm laying under the stars, I'm realizing this is another one of those "you're done" that I had been waiting. I was in a holding pattern somewhere between Cody and where I was supposed to go. And they weren't going to let me wait any longer. It was time for me to let go, truly let go, and move on. And with that said, I went back down to the house, and over the next period of time, I finished the job. And in the next story, we'll begin the new chapter of, you know, really moving on. So thank you for joining me. Happy to have you here. Anything you want to know about me is in the description. And please like, subscribe, and share. If you're part of my community, it's growing, and it's how we are going to ultimately shift the whole world, right? Getting all kinds of information out that you're way more than you think you are. Thank you for joining me. I love you so much. See you in the next story.